I'll be honest with you guys, it was pretty dumb of me to take this trade. Let me show you why. Off the open, we got a little bit of sideways actions followed by a bell curve. Now, with this paired with 9:45 news, I'm going to be very wary of entering. I don't have enough data to tell me that when we have sideways actions and we have a bell curve profile like you see here, that every time or majority percent of the times it's not good to take a stat orbs trade. So I don't have data showing that. I only have one instance, and making predictions off of one data point, especially in trading, isn't the best thing to do every time, or pretty much at all. However, moving later on into the session and later on into the orb, around 9:40, we get this massive, and I mean massive, drop downwards. It would be pretty interesting to see positions for the sell here, but we don't really close past the orb because the orb is set here at this price level right here. Immediately after, or that 9:45 candle absolutely flips green here, right? So I'm still thinking, hey, listen, we didn't really close. It's still valid, right? But just kind of looking at this setup here and where I entered, it was just so much bullish pressure. So why I entered, of course, VWAP. I was kind of expecting to test the VWAP to kind of hold up a little bit and maybe get a little sense of reversal given this strong down moves that we seen, right? Just in this 5-minute candle alone. But that wasn't the case, and it was 116 points that whole orb range was alone. And we took a loss. I decided to scratch out early here because honestly, I did not like the momentum that this candle had. It had no fighting from the sellers at all. And that was good enough for me to go ahead and close that trade at a minor loss. But that leaves us starting off the week down $44. But let's see how tomorrow goes. As tomorrow will be Tuesday, we'll have a little bit more news impacting the markets. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. Have you ever feel like you wanted to do nothing, but then at the same time you wanted to do something? That's how I feel recording this recap right now. I don't want to record the recap, but then I do want to record the recap. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So after we get this large move downwards, we come and we tap VWAP, but we respect it. But this still didn't deter me from taking my stat orb trade. But as you can see on screen right now, we did get a little bit more bullish pressure than I would expected. The delta is almost at 20% on a pretty volatile candle that's about to reach the normal volatility of the current session so far, or the average volatility of the current session so far. So in this case, I was pretty wary, but I still held on to the trade because I wanted to see how we was going to react to this point of control. It could have very much flipped back and kind of started his move downwards to retest VWAP once more. Now, as this candle was forming, it looked like it was playing out. It looked like this is what we needed to see. It kind of respecting this high volume node here that's also point of control on the session. But however, we really just couldn't get no follow through these lows down here. And shortly after, it retraced back up and moved its way towards my stop loss, which leaves us negative $112 for the week, as we are starting off the week with 2 losses. Now, compared to the 2 wins, we have a pretty good risk to reward ratio right now. But of course, we still have the rest of the week to see what happens. All right, so off the open, we had tried to make a little bit of a run higher before getting slapped down and making a huge move lower. Now, we've seen this over the last few days. We've seen this action Monday. We've seen this action Tuesday. And this day is very closely in resemblance to yesterday, how we slapped all the way back down to VWAP and we bounced off of it. As you can see here, this level was used as a little bit of a support. So I made sure that even when 940 hit, I didn't want to position myself for a short if we were above this line. I learned from yesterday's mistake. So instead, I decided to wait for when we broke below the line. When we broke below VWAP, that gave me enough confidence to say, hey, now would be a good time to look for shorts. And what other perfect entry than to try and get an entry off of not only VWAP, but also a high volume node and also prior low on 1 minute. However, price did move a little bit before giving us that original entry that we had wanted. It's all good. We're patient though. We wait for our entries to commence. However, price moved in our favor. Trailing stop was activated. And as you can see, we gotten so close to our take profit before I moved it. Now, moving it doesn't really affect me too much because I always target at least 5 points of the orb extension, which was this level. So it was fine. But these were one of those days where we had just got a full sweep retracement back up to that same level again to test VWAP. So we got stopped out with our stops in profit, but I was still very confident in this trade. I still believed that the play could happen. So I decided to take another re-entry at the point of control, high volume node, and now VWAP. I was using VWAP as my main indicator for my Fold'em zone. If we break above this VWAP with some strength, I'm going to be out. This is going to be my only line of defense. And if it gets broken, I'm not going to hold on to the trade out of hope that it goes in my favor. Price battled a little bit as it was making, or it looked like it was making this move lower. We really couldn't break below current value area low, and price indeed turned the other way and opened up with a gap above VWAP. And this for me was enough as I decided to close my entry shortly after. Now here's the funny thing. As you can see here, if you look at this, you say, hey, you made a good decision. This was pretty bullish. This can have potentials of running all the way up to here if it chooses. Wow. When you look at the 5 minute, you'd be like, hey, this is a pretty bullish challenge. This was a good close, right? Well, when you look in hindsight, of course, and it's always in hindsight, you start to see, wow, it literally reversed and flipped that whole move. And not only did it flip that whole move, but then it went to tap the 5-point extension. This is what I call tilt-inducing setups, or I should say tilt-inducing scenario. In these cases, it is very easy to revenge trade. You feel like, wow, I just got sniped out of my position. And in these cases is where I must always remind myself, close chart, walk away. So with that being said, I count this as a break-even day, as we only lost negative $15 on a day, but that still does put us at negative $127 on the week. The good news about it is our 3, if you want to call them losing days, still doesn't surpass the 2 winning days that we had on Thursday and Friday. So I'm not looking to make a comeback here, but I am looking to see if we can get a little bit of cleaner action on tomorrow's price action for the stat org. So I'll see you tomorrow, which will be Thursday. Alright, so off the open, we was having kind of a little bit of connection issues with Quant Tower, and it really didn't give me anything too much to see. So I was just going off pure stats here, and it looked like right here was a pretty good time to enter. When I had an enter, stops would be above midpoint, which is exactly what we want. However, as you can see, we were dealing with all types of problems with rhythmic in Quant Tower yesterday, freezing or whatnot. And by the time we came back, just kind of consolidated. But I had set a rule. If we were going to break above these highs, I had a high feeling that, or there's a high probability that we go ahead and top that midpoint. And that's what happened, right? We went ahead and tapped the midpoint, topped this out, which brings our overall total to the week to 137. So we just broke even with last week, which is pretty impressive given that we traded every single day. So we're looking at the stat org, right? As you can see, we've had roughly about a 54 win percent, a little over a 1 to 2 average risk to reward ratio with a profit score of 150. I would say so far we don't have a month. Well, we kind of do have a month of data, right? But a lot of these trades are like kind of compared. So this is 1 trade, that's 2 trades, that's 3 trades, that's 4 trades, that's 5, this is 6, that's 7, that's 8, that's 9, that's 10, that's 11, that's 12, that's 13, that's 14, that's 15. So we have 15 data points right now. So I'm looking to at least get to the August 1st to determine whether this trade set up as edge or not, or positive expectancy, I should say, because then I can get it from there. I can understand it as positive expectancy, and then if it does, it's going to be like one of the main plays. We'll playbook it, and we'll look to develop another one. Right now, we're in the process of developing another one, so kudos, right? But as you can see, right now, it's doing pretty good. It's holding on for itself. Sometimes when you look at the week, right, you look at your past week and you had a pretty bad performance, it gets pretty hard to be confident in your strategy, right? Because all you can see what was previously happened. But it's good to zoom out sometimes, especially if you have a strategy that has been profitable for you before. It's good to zoom out and at times just see how it's really been doing, right? And a 54% win rate with a 1 to 2 is I always like to look at the profit factor score. That's a little bit better for me. A profit factor of 1.5 is pretty good, right? Anything over 1 in the profit factor has edge. So especially with a big sample size, right? How small the edge may be, that's up to you to find out, right? But at the end of the day, it does. So for this week, I would call it a successful week, because I am just solely focused on getting those data points. And almost every single day I've taken a stat orbs trade, which is good, right? I'm able to get more data points. So this is what I need next week. Next week I need to position myself for the stat orbs. I just need to position myself properly. But how do you define what is proper? How do you define the perfect entry? You can't really do that. You just gotta enter and see. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next week.